We're going to go over the efficiency of your deck house and how to improve it. We already went over glass. Single pane glass is one thing you really want to try to change at some point. How many people here have mahogany windows in their house that are operable? The operable mahogany. So you probably have a weather strip that looks like this. It's a tan V-shaped weather strip that for now falls right out of the sash. The old weather strip is very thin, all right? This is a foam-filled rubber tube. So it goes into the same slot, and because it's thicker, and possibly if your window sash hadn't been sealed in a while, we recommend that you seal your exterior, that was last week, every 3 or 4 years. If you don't, the wood in your house can swell. If your frame swells and your sash swells, your windows may not open properly and put more tension on your operators. How many people have changed out your operators? Yeah, quite a few. One thing you want to try to do is keep up with the sealing on the exterior. That's definitely going to help reduce the operators from failing and from losing weather strip and actually being able to open your windows. So changing out the weather strip, this goes into the same groove, but Charles is right. You may have to sand down or plane down the edge of your window if it's out of square from settling, which every house settles, or if it's out of square. I'm going to pass this around just so you can see the difference between the two, and that's one thing we have in here 24/7. We started manufacturing mahogany doors in 1959. Some of them did not have weather strip. So if you have a really old deck house from the 60s, you may not have weather strip when you close your door, wood to wood. You hear the wind, you'll see the wind, you'll feel the wind. It's really easy to replace the stop bead and the weather strip on your door. The bottom of your door, you probably have a threshold with a rubber bubble. It's a half rubber bubble that's probably torn or missing. Today what we use is a mahogany strip on top of a newer threshold with a sweep that gets mounted to the bottom of your door. They interlock. This mahogany is going to last pretty much forever. That rubber bubble is going to wear out. So we don't have the rubber bubble anymore, but you can get this as well. If you have a double entry door, anybody have a double entry mahogany door? All right. Well, for those watching, the entry double sometimes way back when didn't have a piece of weather strip in between. That's easily resolved. Piece of weather strip goes right in between the double. This door here is a 1985 mahogany sliding glass door. Last year, we were sitting there doing some work inside here. This is all being remodeled, and we found a draft coming through here. So over 30 years, there was a slight bow in the mahogany, which now we've resolved by, now we laminate 3 solid pieces of mahogany together on the newer sliders, which are right behind you, and a thinner profile. That's been resolved. But on the older sliders, we came up with an additional mahogany bump to it with an additional piece of weather strip. So if you have an older slider and you feel air coming through, call me, we'll get you a kit to replace all the weather strip around the slider. From 1959 until 1977 approximately, we were using a steel hoop sash. It is very inefficient. There is no thermal break between the outside and the inside. Most of the time it's a single pane piece of glass. If there is a spacer, it's air and maybe 1/4 of an inch. There's no weather strip, and conduction is horrible on the steel. If you wanted to replace that, I recommend if you do, I recommend doing it in the rooms you're in the most. Bedrooms, kitchens, somewhere where you're the most, and slowly do a little bit at a time. This is the old steel, that's the mahogany sash. You don't lose any visible glass. Like I did replacement windows in my house because unfortunately I don't own a deck house. But I had to get a frame within a frame. So I lost about 2 inches of glass all the way around. With the replacement mahogany sash, which is Energy Star rated, you don't lose any visible glass. I call him a young kid, but he was probably in his late 20s, early 30s. He came in here, and I might have told the story before, I'll tell it again. He came in and said, "Steve, I just bought a deck house. And I work out of the office in my house, and I have to wear a jacket in the winter." I said, "All right, well, what's the problem?" He goes, "Well, I got these old steel double sash right in front of my desk." And I said, "Well, all right, well, let's try this." I gave him a price for replacing all the windows in his house. He said, "Ooh." I said, "Try one." He did. He came in, thanked me. He no longer wears a jacket in his house at his desk. And since then, over the last few years, he's replaced every window in his house. Very, very happy, just like yourself. If you have the old steel sash, you see the wind, you feel the wind, you're probably wiping condensation off the bottom of the windows because the outside temperature is the same as the inside temperature on the steel. Think about it. Call me if you have any questions on that. Cantilevered overhangs. The older deck houses, unlike this one, the main level overhangs the lower level by about 2 feet, almost all the way around, in some cases all the way around. Because of the floor system, the way it was done then, it's totally different now, there is no insulation underneath your feet. The only thing that's there is carpet. If you have carpet, if it's hardwood, it's wood, and then your floor system, and then air. There is a way to get another 6.8 R value of insulation there by adding insulation, polyisosanurate or Dow Tough R, foil face both sides, and a board underneath. So if you're interested in that, give me a call. I'll try to help you out. We'll go from there. Wall insulation is tough to say because a lot of times it's done by builder per owner as the house is getting put up. So I can tell you by looking at your plans what you have for an R value on top of your roof depending on how much insulation the original owner selected. But wall systems, it's tough to say what the original owner had to build to do the time the house was built. Mass saves. I recommend giving Mass Saves a call if you're looking to do any energy improvements on your home, because they'll come into your house. They will evaluate your house, your windows, your insulation, your heating system, and give you incentives to improve upon it, and it's possible that we could help with that as well. It's a free, and they go through and they replace all your light bulbs in your house with energy efficient light bulbs for free. I had 35 put in. It was pretty cool. I didn't have to pay for one. But it was great. They came through my house and they put an all new weather stripper on the doors. I'm not sure if ours qualifies, so ask them about that because a lot of it is specific to our products. But they recommended insulation. They took money off insulation I needed done, and they gave me a 0% interest loan to get all windows done on my house and insulation. So try it. Have an energy audit in your house, see what they can do for you, and go from there. I'm done. I'm going to hand off to Molly. She's going to go over remodeling and things that people have improved their house.
This is a closet in a master bedroom, and there it is replaced with a series of Soji panels. Still the same space, but there's a light in the closet, and at night it's just like having just a really soft, huge wall sconce.
And those are solid mahogany doors manufactured here.
There was a room between the family room and the kitchen that wasn't able to be closed off, and there it is with the double swinging door unit to it too. So you can do that either with the Soji paper, or you can do it with a glass. Okay. So now we'll get into some additions. This is one of my favorite ones. Hope you recognize this as a before. And there's the after. We extended the entry out, new master bath in the upper part, mudroom on the extended entry. Here's the side view of the same house, okay, before and after. This had been the old model house in Carlisle in the mid-70s, if any of you remember that off River Road. Off with the carport, extended the entry out, we also swapped where the dining and kitchen locations were, so they ended up with closets on both sides of the front door and room to say. The extended entry is the most frequent addition that we do, because all of you who live in the ones that have trouble saying hello and goodbye to people without falling backwards down the stairs. Here's an addition to people who wrote they're naturalists and they write about birds, needed an observatory for their hummingbird gardens and bluebirds and so forth. So we added this to it. They lived in it maybe for 10 years, then moved away, and the current owners moved the kitchen from the main house down to that in the main entry as well. It's just a really nice space. There it is inside, so you can look out through the corners of glass wrapping right around it, but it's a hip roof on all four sides. And in this case, the beams have been done. It's a lighter ceiling than most of us have in our older deck houses, and the beams have been left just with a little bit of a stain, but a pretty natural color, just a sealer on it. That profile that you all recognize, and extended the entry out and enclosed the carport under to the right. It's a closer up version. He's in the stainless steel business, which is why the front doors are stainless steel. And there's the carport before and after. These garage doors come from California, but you can get them locally to glassgaragedoors.com. And because their garage doors are on the front of their house, it was important that it be welcoming as opposed to what we all think of as the ugly garage door. And again, when the light's on in the garage, you don't see all the mess and the canoes and the garbage cans. It's just this beautiful, welcoming glow as you come home. That's the entry before. There it is after. So it was kind of also a little museum area. It extends beyond the hallway that you see there. So lots of sculptures. That was the house in '78. And this is it after 2 additions and also changing the siding around. Again, a corner of glass to enjoy a pond and a breakfast area. That's the gable up there. Same house, the front of it. Again, the carport. I'm not a fan of carports. That was my house. So here, the carport is now a workshop and a mudroom. And then there's a link and the garage finally added 30 years later. Downstairs, one of my favorite things to do to get it out of the realm of feeling basement-like. It just drives me crazy seeing windows this high. I'm a firm believer it's not how much window you have this way, but how low it goes to make you feel part of outdoors. There it is after. So that window had been up here. It's now a bigger window dropped down, and it's really a very nice space now. Here's a garage that we did not do next to a house that we did do. And they had hired 2 architects, and finally we got involved, and here's the connector that we came up with to integrate them, make a mudroom and a laundry, and the house really works very well now. That's again before, there it is after. They're very happy with that. That's the inside of the same space. You're not allowed on this level, 1 step up until you take your shoes off. Okay. And that's looking out the entry. The hallway is done with just closets lining the whole extra wide hallway, so that's extra pantry space that they don't have in the kitchen, as well as all the storage that they need for what was initially a very small house. They didn't like the garage below, didn't like the general look. The garage below became a workshop. They added one much closer to the upper level. The connection through gives them a mudroom in and out, and then now they have an extended entry. And that's a close-up of that extended entry. Pet peeve of mine are these deck houses from the '60s that usually have the pantry cabinet and the refrigerator, and you can't see, standing at the top of the stairs in most of them, that axis where you should be able to see in 4 directions, and this pantry and refrigerator just gets in the way of it. So that's it with it on. We repurposed all of the original cabinets. The pantry cabinet ended up here, the refrigerator back there, and that's the kitchen before from that angle. And here it is after it was done with the concrete countertop. The main thing to look at here, they had sheetrock between the beams, but it was so severe looking with still the original dark beams, they could have just put a solid stain on the beams. And then also you did an incredible backyard in this house that they weren't really enjoying. We did the gable pop out and then extended the glass to the bottom, but the best thing was cutting the deck off, because now you have that sight line out and down to really appreciate all the gardening that they do. Here's the kitchen before we redid that, and that's it afterwards. Now, one of the really fun things here is this is one of the sliding windows. There's screen porches beyond it, so they can pass things back and forth without, if you cranked a window open, you'd behead somebody walking back and forth. But this is just a really nice way to get that transfer. They built a little bar on the opposite side of it. This was something you probably haven't seen before. There's the fireplace where most of you know it to be, and there it is removed. And they did a fireplace, a gas fireplace at the end wall, and just opened the whole space up by putting the ridge beam, the part that's not stained dark, the ridge beam all the way across. So it completely opens the space. That's one direction, and here it is back to the kitchen. That's an addition we did not do. That got torn down and we replaced it with one we do. We do a lot of that. That's a cable rail, okay, and then there's also a light hidden in there to illuminate just the edge of the deck at night. A really tired deck house on a fabulous lot down in Rhode Island right on the water. And it felt very low and heavy and dark. So we explored different options how to deal with it. I was really excited. They hadn't bought the house at this point. We took the living room, and raised it up about 3.5 feet. They were doing a major overhaul of the interior anyway. I don't want to simplify that this is a weekend project. But by raising it up, they've got the clear story windows in the front and then in the back. That's it before, and that's it after. So, and on the interior, obviously gives it it's the same ceiling. It's just 3.5 feet higher, gives it a lot of lift, and they just really love it now. That's the bedroom before, and now we have the corner glass framing that view of the water and the slider. So then if you can raise something 3.5 feet, you might as well raise it 9 feet. If you see the garage on the right, there's a 3-car garage. The family that bought it needed more space. They're prepping it. That's the back side of the garage. There's the guys coming in to lift it. Those are the steel. That's it in process of being lifted up 9 feet. That's the garage ceiling. There it is up in the air. They raise it up with 4 different computers and hydraulics, raising it up one board at a time. So they raise it up, put in the cribbing, go another 3 or 4 inches, do the same thing so that if something went wrong, it's only going to fall one corner of it 3 inches. There's the back with the garage raised up, the front. They gained the master bedroom in the old garage, a master bath, a library, and a den on the upstairs, and downstairs, storage area and the mother of all mudrooms. This is one that we assisted with down in North Carolina. Almost all of our houses go up and back down again, and in this case they didn't raise the roof, they cut it off. So the new roof does this. So before, the roof would have come down at this angle, right over the sliders, but now it comes up, and so it starts at the 11-foot center line height that most of us have, and then keeps going up.
One thing that actually I believe Molly came up with was beam wraps. And originally that was done to help customers lighten beams within their homes without having to sand all the beams down. We had customers take that even further and not use it to lighten the beam, but use that as wiring chases for different areas of their house. So that's another way you might be able to hide a wire from one end of the house to the other, or put wiring in there and put LED lighting coming down or something like that. So what the beam wrap is today's beams are 3 1/8 by 12 laminated beams, and we've been using those since about 1982. Houses prior to 1982 had a solid beam. But if you have solid beams in your house, you'll see checking, you'll see shrinkage, you'll see warping, twisting, cupping. The laminated beams virtually eliminate that. So what we do is we take these solid beams and we rip them down to about 3/4 of an inch thick, and then mill them down to 5/8, and then the customer or builder, whoever, use that to wrap the beam, leaving an existing space if they want, an additional space rather, and run wiring. So if you have a deck house, which I assume all of you do, especially an older deck house, you can't get there from here with wiring. It's going to be difficult for us to answer questions about wiring, but give me a call and I'll try to get you to an electrician or a builder who knows deck houses so they can help you so you don't get yourselves into a bind.